Welcome back to another episode of the Autonomy podcast, and we're just doing a little bit of a video because I wanted to introduce you to one of our coaches. She's been with us a little while now. You've seen her on all of the videos because she's the newest person to pop off on our Instagram and responsible for attracting lots of other Indian females to our page. So Ujita, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And basically, I want people to know how great you are and what what you've been doing with us, what you've been doing beforehand, and kind of your story. Just helps people understand where you come from and what you've done as well.
Cool. So I'm from India, but I grew up in Dubai most of my life. Mm-hmm. I did sport since I could walk. The first thing I learned was swimming. So I'm a big water baby. I love the ocean. And then I got into different sports. I was a sprinter growing up. Then I played rugby. Then I got into martial arts. So sport and fitness is pretty much the only thing that I'm good at and what I love and it's my passion. And then I went on to study it at university. So I have a bachelor's in sport and exercise sciences, and then I have a master's in sports biomechanics. And there were a lot of different avenues in terms of career paths, but I always got asked a lot, especially by women, on tips in the gym, tips on nutrition, and I was like, you know what, I'm good at this and I can be better at it, so I want to go into coaching. And so I was working on my own as a face-to-face personal trainer, and then I started doing a little bit of online, and then I moved to Indonesia for about a year where I was fully online, and I realized this is the kind of life that I want to live, and I want to be able to do the job that I love but not be tied down to one place. And I moved back to Dubai. I went back to doing face-to-face. Online was put on hold. And then I recently competed in my first ever bodybuilding competition. So that was my main focus. And just before I left the UK, I got the opportunity from Autonomy. And it was my dream job. I was very lucky to have stumbled upon it. And so I've been with Autonomy for 6 weeks now. And I've met some really cool people who are my clients, and it's just great to be working with people around the world, people who don't know much about me, but still want me to work with them, which gives a lot of confidence in my skills and my job that I do. And I love it. I love working with Autonomy. I'm Indian as well, so this niche is pretty cool. And I can see a lot of, it ticks all of my boxes working with Autonomy. So very happy.
That's cool. And then what made you compete in bodybuilding? What was that kind of thought process? You're like in Indonesia being a water baby, and then you're like, right, let's go on a stage in a bikini. Like, what happens there?
Well, I get to be in a bikini, which I love. Yeah. I wanted to give myself a different kind of challenge. I always did things that were performance-based because of all the different sport that I did. So I was just like, I never wanted to do bodybuilding as a career, and I still don't, but I'm like, I want to give myself this challenge. I work with so many clients who go through dieting phases, and I had never done it myself. And I'm like, you know what? I want to do it. I want to try it. Obviously, it's to a lot more of an extreme level. And I just wanted to see how far I can push my mind, what I was going to look physique-wise. And that's why I did it. Yeah. I wanted to just do it once, be an example to other people. Yeah.
What did you learn?
I learned that discipline matters more than anything. Like, I have a lot of clients coming to me being like, I need motivation daily, weekly. And I'm like, I'm happy to give you that, but you're going to have to learn to develop and rely on discipline a lot more, because towards the end of my prep, I hated training. I hated every bit of it, which I never thought I would. And I'm like, if I want to do well, I need to get this shit done. So I have to just go do it. Yeah.
What else did you?
I learned that if I can put my mind to something, well, I always knew this, but this was a different kind of challenge, especially the dieting part. I did not know what to expect in terms of whether I would enjoy it or not enjoy it. But I learned that if I did really want to achieve a goal, that I could do it. I learned that you get out of it what you put in. You can have the best coaches in the world, all the tools, all the guidance, but if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're not going to get the results that you want.
True. What do you think stops the South Asian community or clients that we have from that go-getter attitude?
Honestly,
Always.
I think comfort. People are too comfortable in the lives that they've lived. They want changes and they want results, but they want to do it in the easiest way possible, which you can make it accommodating to an extent, but if you want to make it easy, everybody would be fit. There's a reason why everyone's not. So I think getting out of your comfort zone is something that you have to learn, whether it's with you're training more than usual or you're dieting harder than you ever have before. You need to get a little bit uncomfortable to get those results that you want. So then once eventually when you have those results, you can go back to, you won't have to be uncomfortable for the rest of your life. Yeah.
It's called, I like to call it the inner thermostat. It's like, you know, when, especially in Dubai, you have that like, you have the argument of who likes the AC at a different level. For me, it's like, I like 21, 22. Sarah likes 24, 25.
Yeah.
And we have this constant argument. And like, when you're at your level, you don't feel the AC. It's static.
Yeah.
And that's almost like other people's, their limits that they put on themselves or how they want life. They want it always not too cold, not too hot.
Just right.
And when you go into a diet or you're changing something, you're affecting that thermostat. You are testing it because it's not comfortable to do something new. It's not comfortable to probably find out you're shit at something. Yeah, and it's not comfortable to have a conversation or make food or change the routine.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're affecting your inner thermostat, and it's not a negative thing because whether it goes up 25, 26, you'll still live. Whether you go to 20 to 21, you'll still live. But in that moment when you're sitting on the sofa and it's freezing, fucking hell, there's nothing worse. And that's why, it's like it's that comfortability.
Yeah.
So what's it like growing up as an Indian woman, or was a girl, in Dubai? Like, what do you see from our clients versus your upbringing that's either different or the same?
I would say it's, even though I understand and relate to my clients a lot, it was different in the sense of, I grew up eating Indian food. I ate what my mom made, but it was never, obviously as a kid, it's different. But once I got older and I moved back home after university, it was never a thing that was pushed onto me. But I mean, I love home food. But if I wanted to, when I was prepping for my competition, my parents were extremely supportive and encouraging. And it was really difficult for me because I'd smell everything that was being made, and I'm like, I'm eating fucking chicken and rice, like just and like plain shit, it's without any spices, nothing. But they wouldn't invite me out for dinners and things because they know like you're doing this thing, and or they wouldn't try and sway me. So in that sense, if anything, they have taken inspiration and motivation to make some changes to their diet. So in that sense, I didn't have a lot of parental pressure in terms of food. In terms of fitness and training, my dad was an athlete when he was my age, and he was a regional athlete in India. And so he got me and my brother into sports. So sport was a big part of our life. And my parents, when I was in school, even if I didn't do that great in school, they'd be like, excel in something, and we can see that you're good at this. So, let's focus on this.
If you're shit at maths, at least run fast.
Yeah. And I did. Yeah, I did running. No, they always supported. Obviously, education is very important, especially in an Indian family. And in that sense, it's better than my parents trying to force me to get married. They're like, do well in school, which is far better.
Yeah, we'll take that one.
Yeah. So that was it. There was a big focus on that, but there was also a big focus on health. And they're like, you need to get these habits into your lifestyle now. Otherwise, it just becomes harder as you get older. And they were always very supportive of whatever I fancy trying. I'm like, one day I'm like, I want to do gymnastics. And then I stopped, and they're like, but you can try it and, see if you like it or not. Like, they never stopped us. And I eventually found what I liked, and even what I wanted to study. Like, I was so nervous to tell my dad because it's not a common thing to study sports science in an Indian household. But my parents were like, we'd rather pay for a degree that you're going to use and that you enjoy than having you study something that we think you should be studying and wasting our money. Yeah. I didn't have a very traditional upbringing, thankfully.
Yeah. But I mean, it's allowed you to do what you want, right?
Yeah. And I'm good at it, and I've been able to monetize what I love. So,
it's the other way around. One of my friends, Charlie, he uses the statement, the golden handcuffs. So it's like you get to this promised land of I've done this 7 years now within the community, is they get up to a point where they're doing things for other people, but as they go up the ladder, more money comes. And then at some point, even Sirish, one of our coaches, he talks about it. It's like, he built up to be an orthopedic surgeon. He's getting paid a lot of money, and he doesn't like it. But now he's built his lifestyle around a job that pays stupid money. He's got golden handcuffs on, which is they're amazing and they're really shiny and they're awesome, but they keep your hands together.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people get in that situation, whether it's dentists, doctors, but the higher you go, the more that cuff is a struggle. But neither is good or bad. I mean, I think there's always positive and negatives to each scenario. What was that conversation like? Just because I know that this is a conversation that people are fretting to have in their own home, who's watching this. How do you go up to your parents and go, hey, I'm going to do this dieting thing, and just run me through that scenario there? Like, is it like
for my bodybuilding conversation?
Yeah, so you're like, oh, yeah, I'm sure because you had that hard conversation about the sports science, this was probably a walk in the park.
Yeah.
But talk us through it, because a lot of people are coming home, they're probably getting a diet plan from the internet, and then looking at their mum in the kitchen making pav bhaji and going, fucking hell, that's not on it. Like, how do I have that conversation with Bat or mum that I'm not going to be doing that?
I think, if anything, for our clients, it should be an easier conversation because they're doing something that's bettering their health. Whereas bodybuilding is so extreme, anybody would be like, why the fuck are you dieting down to 700 calories? But yeah, so I agree. But specific to this situation with my parents, they knew I was the oddball in the family, and I always did the thing that everybody else didn't do. So when I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a bikini bodybuilding comp, they're like, yeah, okay, we figured.
It makes sense.
I didn't really tell them about the diet. I was like, I'm going to prep my own food. But my mom got involved, and if she was making anything and she was already in the kitchen, she'd be like, do you need anything made? And I'm like, yeah, cool. It saves me some time. Yeah, I mean, my dad, he was just shocked at what I was eating. He's like, this is hardly any food. And he's like, oh, you must be I'm like, yeah, Dad, I miss home food, but you talking about it is not making it any easier. I'm like, trying not to think about it. Yeah. There were a couple of times where we'd have I was doing Ramadan and it had just finished. So we'd get invited to people's home for Eid and they'd have biryani. And I'm like, they're like, come. And I'm like, I'll come, but I can't eat. And I felt bad. And they understood, but I felt a bit guilty. But I'm like, you know what? This is something I'm doing for myself. And these people are going to be there. The food is going to be there. This competition is happening soon and it's only once. So I'm like, I can't mess this up right now. But anything that I've competed in other things before also where I've had to follow a diet. And I think because I've done it so much, my parents know this is a thing that I do now and then, and I compete. And because of the nature of my job and my lifestyle, they just know that there will be periods in my life where I'll be following a diet, well, for whatever reason, whether it's a photo shoot or I just want to do a mini cut or if it's to compete. They don't question it. They've seen me go through it because I live at home at the moment. So, yeah.
I think there's a large part that comes down to the communication that is had, and also when you do have that conversation and you actually then don't follow through on your word, you not you specifically, obviously you did great, but the more someone has that conversation, the more they teach their parents to be, oh yeah, they're doing that thing again in 2 weeks time, they're going to be back on my food anyway. So the more I ask. Now, when you went, actually curious, when you went to that iftar, did you still have to say no to food, even though you made your intentions clear? When you went there, did they still offer you food and you still had
My
to say
parents
no?
didn't, but the family did because they didn't know.
Yeah.
I ate what I could. They had a fruit salad. I had that. And I'm just just to be polite, I had a tea. And if anything, people were interested in what I was doing. And they're like, oh, tell me more, instead of trying to make me feel bad.
Yeah.
But I'm very headstrong. And if someone's I barely drink. And if I go out, there have been times where I've been out and I'm like, I don't want to drink and I can have a good time. And people are trying to push alcohol, towards me. And I'm just I stand my ground and I'm like, just shut the fuck up. I make my, I'm not asking you to convince me. I've already made my decision. Yeah. I think in the case of our autonomy clients, it's just a very simple thing of explaining to your family, I'm trying to better my health. And if I don't do it now, whatever age you might be, the older you get, it's going to become harder for me. Yeah. And so, I'd appreciate it if you can support me. And it's not going to be forever. Yeah. It's all, you're learning skills that you then carry on with the rest of your life.
I think the two things, if you I'm actually going to do some videos on this, is how to tell your mum you're going on a diet, or how to tell mum no. But one of them is you shouldn't expect the person to understand. You should expect them to respect what you're doing.
Exactly.
Because bar or mum or auntie is not going to understand why you want to get into a bikini or feel confident, because the standards of body image in India are different to the Western world, and the transition period that's happening now is healthy as chubby is over here, and BBLs and butts and lip fillers over on this side. It's fucking complex. And when you have someone in this camp or from the old traditions, they don't understand why you would want to go to that side or like get leaner or get skinnier. And they have some repercussions of how the family may see. I don't expect you to understand. I just want you to respect that I'm doing this. And if you could help me out in some way, shape or form, I would really appreciate that. I've nearly got kicked out of my house for my dad putting too much oil on my food one time because he literally, he's like, oh no, your food's healthy. I'm not letting you cook. It's my responsibility as part of the house. And I went into the kitchen one day and he did this with the oil on top of it. I was like, the fuck are you doing? I'm like, I've got 1,200 calories and it's fuck. He's like, he's like, you don't tell me how to cook or you're fucking leaving this house. I was like, okay, cool. What's for dinner? Like, okay, thank you. He's like, you're leaving if you make me, so I've had it too.
Yeah.
But the communication is key. We got there with my dad, finally. I just let him have Friday nights. I'm just like, Dad, cook me dinner on Friday.
Yeah.
Just
compromise.
Yeah, just like no butter, no olive oil, no garlic bread, because you put garlic bread with everything. He puts fucking garlic bread with a curry. I don't know. Garlic bread with fish and chips. That's why I used to be overweight. So when I let him have Fridays, and then the rest of the week, I'm like, that's my time. And then you give a bit of give and take with the family. You can help me cook a few meals. If your mum offering, just make me some of this, make me some of that.
Yeah.
And then just monitor it. I think you have to find a middle ground. If that's the house you're going to live in for the next 5 to 10 years, you have to solve it now. It's not going to get any better. Because it's going to be a difficult time and you're going to grin and bear it for 12 weeks. And then you're going to go back to mum's food because you're going to give in. And then you're going to get fat again. Because that thing over here is what got you in the bad place in the first start.
Yeah, and the other thing is you are never forced to eat anything.
Consensual.
Yeah, like your mom or dad is not force opening your mouth and putting food into your mouth. So if you want to cook and make your own meals and they are making comments, it goes to one ear and out the other. Why? It's what you're giving your energy to. If you truly want to, you're like, I really want to make my own meals, go and do it. But I think for most people, it's a case of the idea of making my own meals is nice, but really, can I be bothered to do it? No. So I'm just going to blame it on my parents. Because at the end of the day, your mom and dad will make all sorts of comments, but are they coming and force feeding food? No. So it's not a problem that doesn't have a solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got so many options. You can cook it yourself. You can eat it out. You can buy out. You can buy packaged food. You can eat your mum and dad's food and take a portion size. You could eat your mum and dad's food, but you could change some of the ingredients. Or you can eat your mum and dad's food and not do anything. And all 8 of those options, only one of them doesn't get you fat loss.
Yeah.
And that's the not doing anything.
Exactly.
And just being on the other side.
Yeah.
All these other alternatives, which is that inner thermostat, is that one over there is the 22 degrees, which I like. And the rest of them are a little bit more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Further towards the mum and dad's food, you're having more conversations and communication. Further on the other side is that you're having no's, not even entertaining the conversation, and I'm doing my own thing. But all of them swing on a pendulum between what you prefer. Like, you're definitely on this side of the coin where you're like, no, fuck this, fuck you, everyone fuck you off. Like, you're on that side. I'm on the, I can't really be bothered. Like, I just want to fit in. I like to just do what everyone else is doing. I'm a proper social pleaser. So I want to be on this side so that I can still have the whatever with my mum and dad. So I can still do that, but I've got to communicate. You can do that side because you can just be bullish and just bring your own stuff and be prepared.
Yeah, so. And I mean, I'm like I mentioned earlier, I'm lucky that my parents are supportive. Mm-hmm. And I mean, now that I'm done with my comp, I'm eating whatever the fuck I want, which is great. But yeah, no, when I was going through my competition, they understood. And the longer I was into prep, and they saw me, what I was doing, what I was eating, they're like, okay, this shit's serious. Like, let's help her. Yeah, instead of making it more difficult. Because they saw how I was going towards lower and lower energy. I was becoming less and less social. And they're like, let's not make life difficult. Yeah, let's try and make things easy. So, yeah.
There's a nice position to be in for when you have support like that. Most people don't know that you have PCOS, right? Or that you had.
No, they don't, because I don't look like I do. Because most women who have PCOS, I was able to avoid a lot of the symptoms because I looked after my health from very early on. Yeah.
So no symptoms at all?
No, I've never had. I got diagnosed with it when I was 14, right after puberty. Mm-hmm. But I was very active and I was very sporty. I wasn't lifting at the time, but I think I started lifting when I was 15. But I was always active, so I was able to avoid the weight gain. That's the main thing. Things like acne is a very common symptom, but That's unrelated. I've been blessed with good skin, thankfully. But yeah, things like weight gain and other health problems that come with PCOS, I've been able to keep at bay. I think because I've been so on top of, but it's also not been any extra effort for me because it's such a part of my lifestyle. Like doing something active every day is like brushing my teeth. Like I feel weird if I don't go for a walk. I have other symptoms, which is that I don't have a regular menstrual cycle, but I am on birth control for that. So this I manage, but this comes with its own problems.
That is a podcast within itself.
Oh.
Birth control within itself, like the variations between the estrogen stuff, the progesterone, like catalog of stuff. Like it's like you have one thing to fix another thing, and both have side effects, right? So
yeah, like lately I have been on birth control since I was 19, and I'm now 26. I've been on this particular pill for the past 4 years, I'd say, or 3 years since I've been in Dubai, and I've been fine. But lately, literally in the past 2 weeks, I've had random meltdowns and I just start bawling my eyes out. I was sending in check-in feedbacks the other day and I had to keep pausing because I kept crying, and I'm like, why am I crying? I felt like I had to just and I have not, everything in my life is going well. Like I'm happy and I wasn't sad about anything, but I get these moments of like, it changes your hormones. The period that I get on the pill is an induced period. It's not even a natural period. So it just does so much. But on the other hand, if I'm not on birth control, I don't know when I'm getting my period because it's so irregular. So this is why I went on the pill in the first place. Yeah, and every time I do get my period, like as I've gotten older, my like cramps have become awful, like unbearable. A lot of mental and emotional toll birth control can take on you. Yeah.
Absolutely. I did a lot of research on birth control because obviously a lot of people say like the weight gain that comes from it. And the weight gain, because like with everything, the weight gain normally comes from things that make you eat more food or water retention. It's never like you take the pill, and then, boop, now you're fat.
Exactly.
It's like that would be crazy because if that could happen, then there would be one to lose weight. Like it cannot equal and opposites. So you take a pill. This is so like simple, and that's how my brain works. And they say you take a pill, and then you gain water retention, then you gain scale weight, and then you take this pill, it makes you more cravey, more hormonally, more appetite increases. Then you eat more food because of the appetite, you gain weight, and that's kind of the cycle that it runs on. So most people think, birth control, weight gain. It's like water weight plus appetite, basically. And when you don't have the habits or the skill set and general life of appetite control and portion sizes, let alone doubling that up and then being like, right, now what am I going to do? Of course, you're going to eat the biscuits.
Yeah. I'm aware when I get cravings, and I'm okay. Like, not luckily, it was a lot of hard work, but I'm at a stage in my life, like I still have goals I want to achieve in the fitness world, like things I want to do, but physique wise, I'm at a stage in my life where I can get away with giving into a craving here and there because I have put in years of hard work. Like I know how to balance it, and I know I'm not gonna overindulge and binge eat and like go back to, I don't even know what square one is for me. I was very skinny. This is like, I was like not nice skinny. So I'm good at realizing when I do get a craving, and it's always so sporadic. I'll randomly be like, I'm craving an ice cream, and I'll have a bar of ice cream, but then I don't sit there and I'm like, I'm gonna eat chips next, I'm gonna get KFC next, and I don't spiral out of control. It's important to be aware of when you get a craving and then ask yourself, if I give into this craving now, is it going to stop there, or am I going to want to eat more shit? And then make a decision based on that.
Yeah. And if you can learn that skill of stopping after the thing, you then can master every 30 days. Like if a female is part of a menstrual cycle.
Yeah,
right?
and this is how you create a balanced diet where you can eat what you want in moderation. Yeah.
But it's only when what people want is extraordinarily out of the scope that becomes the issue. Like if your wants are, like for example, people want a Lamborghini but can afford a Nissan. It's like, that's the same as like you want to have 3 boxes of biscuits because you've had that before, and that's what they think balance is. Like with like, no, a balance is you being able to sit there with a pack of biscuits and have a few, or even a multiple, and know how to balance it out either prior or afterwards, or sit there and not let them turn into dunking it in fucking ice cream and whipping it with peanut butter. But
the other day, it was just a couple of days ago, I had a really like big breakfast and lunch, and then I was going to the mall where they have, Papa Roti.
Yes.
Oh,
great
yeah.
place.
And I've only had it once, and because I've never tried it, and I tried it and I loved it. And I was going to this mall where they have it, and I was telling Ryan that I'm like, oh, there's papa roti, blah, blah, blah. And then I get there and I'm like, I look and I'm just like, I'm comfortably full from the meals before. I'm like, I don't need to eat for the sake of eating, just because I like the thing. Like, I sometimes feel like, and it's going to sound harsh, but we're not children and we're not animals. We can make conscious decisions about saying no to things and being like, I don't need to have this. Yeah.
Have you ever heard this concept? And Sarah taught me this because she's all woo-woo. It's like she's all very much like communication and vibes and spiritual stuff. It's like she's like, there's two planes in your life. Oh, fucking hell. There's two planes in your life. There's one where you are your thoughts, and then there's the plane where you observe your thoughts and what they do. And this plane here is when you are your thoughts. Oh, cravings. Oh, monkey see, monkey do. Oh, biscuit. Must have.
Yeah.
And then you've got this plane above where you're like, oh, you want a biscuit? Jog on. And that's the gap. And most people live and operate on this monkey brain, which is, monkey see, monkey do. I've got a craving, so therefore I should.
Yes.
I feel sad, so therefore I should.
Yeah.
Or I've had a bad week, therefore I should. We
Thoughts.
are the thoughts.
Yeah.
But when you break down how many thoughts you have on a day-to-day basis, I think it's like 7,000, or it could be upwards of 8,000, 8,600. Don't ask me where those numbers come from. But like 8,600 thoughts on a day-to-day basis. Not every single one of them is true, but every single one of them will create a windfall from thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and actions. It has the capacity to be an action, which is not good considering, like, if every guy acted on every thought that they had, well, we'd all have all guys in jail. So like, it's proof that you're not your thoughts, because if you were every single one of them, we'd be like disturbed. So having that plane where you're like, which you just explained there, which is like, I'm full. I feel it here that I'm full. I do not need that exciting paparotti.
Yeah.
But if you were on that level where you were the monkey see, monkey do, you'd be like, you'd have forgot about the whole things that you had before, and you're like, ooh, paparotti, let's go. And I think that's the distinction between like two types of people when you come to like making decisions.
Yeah. It comes with practice, for sure, and a lot of self-talk. I have clients ask me on a weekly basis, like, I have a craving, how do I get through it? How do I get past it? And I'm like, or more to do with emotional eating. And I always say, when you're feeling the negative emotion, whether it's anger, sadness, frustration, whatever it is, and you're like, I have to have this thing, ask yourself, is it going to solve the problem fully? Is the actual problem solved? Or is it just going to make you feel better in the moment? And then once you've had that thing, then you're cribbing and whining and moaning, there's a scale fluctuation. And then I'm like, you're doing it to yourself. Mm-hmm. You could have avoided it. So I'm like, ask yourself, can I eat something else? Does this need to be eaten right now? Yeah. Am I going to starve to death if I don't eat this, whatever it is that you want to eat? And is it going to resolve the problem? No. But there's also on the flip side, if you want to have that bar of chocolate because you're feeling bad, have it. But then don't, if you know you won't waste time and energy afterwards feeling guilty, by all means go ahead. If you're able to recognize the balance and be like, cool, I'm going to have this now, and then that's it for the day, and then I'm going to go back on track, that's healthy. Yeah. But if you're going to go into a snowball effect of, I eat this, I feel shit, I look at the number on the scale, I'm like, that can be avoided. Yeah.
And I guess that's autonomy, right? Autonomy is the control of your choices. But when you find out what the positive and negative is, you've got to make that decision, right?
Exactly.
If you have this chocolate bar, you don't. A perfect example is the honeymoon phase of a relationship. You only see the positives. You're never looking at this like guy going, fucking hell, well, I don't really like the way like he walks. He's a bit weird. Or like the way he reacts to a situation. You're like, oh, he's lovely. He can do this. We do this. You're only looking at the positives. And that's what decision making is in health and fitness, right? The positive is a chocolate bar. The positive is an ice cream. The positive is not having other food to other people or going out for dinner. But the negatives is the things that you decide that happen because of that. So if you go out for pizza, the negative is that you wake up tomorrow and your scale weight will be up.
Yeah.
And if you can't deal with that negative, you shouldn't have the positive, because that's mentally strong. Because mentally strong is you've made a decision with knowing both outcomes.
Exactly.
And you can't make decisions based on rose-tinted glasses, which is, only see the positive, because you're going to end up disappointed.
Or the other thing that happens is ignorance or denial. You know what can cause scale fluctuations. You do that thing anyways, and then the scale weight goes up, which is just mostly from water retention, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I'm like, no, but you knew.
Yeah.
So just accept it and learn to do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that scale weight is a total, is such a hard concept to grab if you've been triggered by it already. Like if you've never had a relationship with it, I've never had a, like, sure, when I step a scale sometimes I'm like, oh, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that last night. Or like, yeah, like, or shouldn't have done this or shouldn't have done that. It does give you some gut check, and it is one of the best things if you want to stay in shape forever. Weighing yourself every day or multiple frequencies will help you massively. But if you've had an emotional turmoil with that scale and you can't either, I am the scale weight is the biggest thing that I see. I am that, and that represents everything about my life. I'm a 50 kilo female. That's
This
me.
is my identity.
Yeah, that's my identity. My identity is that I'm a 50 kilo female, and when it goes to 51, I am a piece of shit, and when it goes to 49, I'm glorious, I'm amazing, I walk out the bathroom like this, 49 kilos. When I walk out the bathroom at 51, I'm like, oh, fucking fat cunt, But it's a tough process to move away from, but actually ignoring it is the opposite of what you need to do. It just shows you that you're triggered by a particular area. Go and solve that. Go and solve why it means so much to you. Go and find other things that should be more important, like, your waist size or your jean size or how you fucking feel when you wake up. Because when you wake up, you don't go, fucking hell, 49 kilos here. You wake up and you're like, oh, fucking a bit tired, or actually I'm super looking forward to today, or you get the dogs jumping on you like I do. And it's like, that's life, not what that number represents.
Even during my bodybuilding prep, which is an extreme thing to go through, when I started my cutting phase, it was based on how I looked. There was no weight I needed to get to. Yes, I had to send in a daily check-in during the last couple of weeks to my coach, and I had to send in my weight daily. And I'll be honest, it got me a little bit obsessive, but not in a negative way. Like after I had a meal, I'd check my weight. After I go to the bathroom, I'll check my weight. I'm just like, what is it? I'd look at myself in the mirror multiple times a day. But even at a stage that's something like that, where you're competing in a sport, even at that point, it's based on how you look.
Yeah.
And it's not a scale weight thing. So when you're a part of the general population trying to lose weight, obviously getting to a healthy BMI and a healthy weight is important. And it's good practice to get into, like you said, to check your weight daily for multiple reasons. But your body changes so much. Your mood changes so much. These are the differences you also should be noticing. I'm going to put it very bluntly, like the simple thing of tying your self-identity to a metal thing that shows a number, like you're better than that. Yeah. There's what relationship is that, Like there's clothes that you wear that make you feel good. Like think about those things. Yeah.
I think there's a large amount of like identity with that, and especially we spoke about it we've done some reels for the people on this, is like that 25 to 35 female Indian South Asian is a minefield because of that Eastern Bloc, Western Bloc culture. And like over here, you've got size 0, skinny is the new mini, the bikini this, bikini that, BBL. Over here, you've got the chubby, healthy is chubby, and you've got poor you in the middle thinking about what's right and what's wrong and what should I be looking at. Is it my scale weight? Is it the way that I look? I'm getting told I'm skinny, and then I'm getting told that. And like that creates this. And then you've got, not to mention the old school traditional ways of parenting, and you need to go and do this, you need to go and do that, you need to go and do this. You trying to find identity in something.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you've chosen the scale to create your identity, whereas there's loads of things. Like I've got a client called Nisha, and she loves the scale. Like we're talking about one of those people that been with me a year now, dropped a stupid amount of weight, maintained it, but yet will still message me and be like, hey, my scale weight's gone up. And I'm like, hey, I don't care. Go message someone else. Like that's what, I say to her, like, you should be, we've got a rule, like you don't message me about anything weight related now, because I'm feeding the problem. I'm like the fucking cocaine dealer. Because I'm like, oh my God, what's happening?
The enabler.
Yeah. So I'm just like, don't talk to me about it. And I'm like, when you message me, I want you to just message me how you're feeling. I don't care about your scale weight. And she's like, oh, okay. So then we did a few days where she's like, actually, I'm feeling really good, but my scale weight's up. And I'm like, oh, how does that make you feel? She's like, shit. I'm like, okay, let's try it tomorrow. Okay, how do you feel? Yeah, I'm really, really good. Scale, like food is awesome. I've got really good clarity. Where's the scale weight? Oh, it's still up. And I'm like, okay, so you feel good, right? She's like, yeah, okay. Remember that.
Yeah.
Look for that.
Yeah.
Because if your default is like the scale is everything, you almost need to like do like a gratitude process to be like, hey, look at all the positive shiny rainbows over here, and you're over on this side.
Because the other thing is, if you start feeling negative and obsessing over the negative with the scale weight, you then go into this phase of like, fuck everything.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything. And then you go back to square one.
Yeah.
So understanding that it's just one measure of progress is what matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. We definitely tailed down a different road.
Yeah.
But we got a bit about you, so that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was my pleasure.
Thank you. And we'll have more of these for sure.